Hello, first grade teachers. Thank you for taking the time to watch a video about the nonfiction pilot your campus is doing. We are Yaneth Helm, a dual language coach, and Mary Beth Cordone, an instructional coach. If you are watching this for the first time, we suggest you watch it again with the materials. In this picture, you see a big book of mentor text, a spiral book called Explorations in Nonfiction Writing with a very important resource DVD, and there's a guide to teaching nonfiction text. You will probably check these materials out from your assistant principal. And it is important to note the authors, Tony Stead and Linda Hoyt. These are well-known names in the language arts community. As we get started, let's go over some of the important information about this pilot. You'll see that these materials were chosen as a way to support the expository writing in our district. And every pilot campus was given a set of materials. You will have a large Ziploc bag for every teacher. Each bag includes the items that we showed on the first slide. And alongside the TE, there are tabs for each unit, and it will be important that you go to the correct tab. First grade begins Unit 6 in January with the Inform tab. When you open the ARC and go to the first grade language arts, you will see the Pilot NF Writing tab at the top of the second row. And when you click that tab, you're going to see three very important links that you need. The green arrow on the screen points to the Planning Guide tab. So let's look at the Planning Guide. When you click the Planning Guide link, you're going to have a 2-page document. It'll be a good idea to print this. It shows the 2 language arts units for first grade in this pilot. You will see Unit 6 information for the first unit you pilot in January. All the TEKS that apply are listed. You see it as a research and informational genre. You will use the Inform tab in your TE. And then next you see pages 14 through 53 and the session numbers. Those are the ones that we will be talking about next. The mentor text is the big book, and then you see that you have a pre and post assessment. We will be talking about taking those samples. Lastly, there are power rights for this unit, and these pages refer to the 2 power rights we will be doing. So here is how this information looks in the TE.
So now we will look at the manual we will be using. So let's go to our Inform tab. The Inform tab is what you will be using for Unit 6. Let's look at the first page, which is the big picture. Please make sure you read the big picture because it discusses a chart called RAN that you will be using throughout the whole entire unit. Here in page 5, you have more information about the RAN chart, which is the Reading and Analyzing Nonfiction chart. You will be using it. It's an organizer, very similar to what we know as KWL, but has different important features. On page 14, you have the beginning or your first session of your unit. Your first session explains the pre-assessment you will do. Please note the materials that you will need for this session. The next session that you will have is about the RAND chart. You will use the big book mentor text called The Great White Chart. All the lessons follow the writing workshop mini lesson structure, with your focus mini lesson, your turn and talk, your writing and coaching, and your sharing and reflecting. Okay, let's turn to page 295 quickly, just so that you can see more information on the RAND chart. It's in the resource section of your book. Just keep this page tabbed so that you can see what the completed RAND chart, or an example of what it will look like after your lesson, and the individual things needed when creating it. Just something to keep in mind. I will be turning to page 16 now. Page 16 talks about your student notebook, which is something else that you will be creating during this unit. I'll give you an example of what that looks like. This is found in your A Guide to Teaching Nonfiction Writing. This student notebook will be made out of just regular white paper stapled, and they will be making two, a class one and then working on an individual one. But just keep in mind, this is what it will be looking like, or this is what it'll end up looking like. And the lessons continue after this. Sessions 1 through 18 is what you will be doing. And like we said, it all follows the writing workshop. So just make sure you glance and look through it before you start the unit, just because this will be very helpful.
All right, thank you, Yaneth. The next important link on the ARC is, sorry, give me one moment. There it is. The next important link on the ARC is your At a Glance, and that's the link that tells each grade level, when you follow it across, the dates to submit the pre-assessment and post-assessments. The third link that we referred to on the ARC is the data collection plan. The information to collect is on this plan, and I'll just briefly let you know that each teacher will be collecting 3 samples from their class, from the beginning assessment as well as the post-assessment, and the samples will be scored as above average, average, and not yet at average. This also gives you information about turning these samples in to Julie De Leon. At the end of the pilot unit, each teacher will receive a survey asking for feedback. To help you when you collect your writing samples, in the DVD there is a rubric, but it is called the Individual Evaluation Record. And there is a checklist that can also help you. But you'll notice in the DVD you have student-friendly items, and Yaneth is showing you those. There's a revision checklist with the little student-friendly happy faces, as well as an editing checklist. Please remember that in the TE, there's a very nice revising lesson to do, and then after the revising lesson, naturally comes an editing lesson. So just to summarize, please remember that we're collecting pre- and post-assessment samples. Use the instructional coach on your campus to help you plan these lessons with Unit 6 timeline lessons, as well as when we get to Unit 8, we have another pilot. Yeneth Helm, our dual language coach, explained to you about the TE. You can email her or me, Mary Beth Cordone. We're both available by email for questions, but also Julie De Leon and Marissa Tomei in the Language Arts Curriculum Department. You know that ARC feedback is always welcome. Again, remember, there will be a survey about the features of this pilot. The most important thing we want you to remember, your time and the work you do with your children and in this pilot is greatly appreciated.